The hiker's dog found the severed foot first. It was resting near the edge of the cobblestone path in the state park. The cut was jagged, desperate. It had been done with a pair of heavy kitchen meat shears. 3 miles away, inside an abandoned church, police found Aurora Spiral bleeding out. She was whispering frantically about maggots, green scales, and purple eyes. Investigators would spend 6 months unraveling how she got there. What they found was not a monster from the woods. It was something much worse. 3 weeks earlier, the isolated cabin was supposed to be a writing retreat. Aurora had been struggling with her horror novel.
Her husband, Adam, an architect who planned everything down to the millimeter, suggested the getaway.
It's so quiet out here, Adam. Almost too quiet.
That's exactly what you need to finish the book, Ro. No distractions. Adam was meticulous. Every morning at exactly 7 a.m., he brought her coffee at her desk. 2 sugars, oat milk. He always stood there, smiling softly, watching her take the first sip. She had done it a dozen times before. She didn't think anything of it. The wrongness started small. On the 4th day, Aurora stood in the shower, washing her hair. When she pulled her hands away, thick, black clumps of hair were tangled in her fingers.
I'm just stressed. It's the book. It's just stress. She thought of her sister, Camilla. Camilla had perfect, soft hair. Aurora had always been secretly jealous of it. She rationalized the hair loss as anxiety. She mentioned it to no one. By the 2nd week, the hallucinations began. Aurora sat at the wooden dining table, staring down at a bowl of rice Adam had prepared. She picked up her spoon. As she brought it to her mouth, the texture felt wrong. Crunchy. Bitter. She looked down. The rice wasn't rice. Hundreds of tiny white maggots writhed in the bowl, sticking together in a slimy mass. Adam!
She threw the spoon across the room. Adam rushed in from the kitchen, his face a mask of perfect concern. Ro, what is it? What's wrong?
The food! There are bugs in it!
Adam looked at the bowl, then back at her. He reached out and touched her forehead. Aurora, it's just rice. You're burning up. You've been staring at that screen too long. She looked again. It was just rice. She told herself she was losing her mind. She made an excuse. She made a decision that seemed reasonable at the time. She stayed in the cabin. That night, the paranoia deepened. Aurora couldn't sleep. She walked to the living room window and stared out into the dark pine trees. The yellow glow of the porch light barely pierced the gloom. And then she saw it. Suspended between 2 trees, hovering in the dark, was a face. It was deathly pale, with wide, glassy eyes and a porcelain smile. It didn't blink. It just watched her.
It's not real. It's a shadow. It's just a shadow.
She backed away from the window. She checked the lock 3 times before she went back to bed. She didn't tell Adam. If she said something and was wrong, she'd feel stupid. The next afternoon, there was a knock at the door. Adam answered it. A young woman stood on the porch, claiming her car had broken down. "Come in, please. You can use our landline. I'm Adam, and this is my wife, Aurora."
I'm Alexandria. Thank you so much.
Aurora stared at the woman. Alexandria had fiery red hair and flawless skin, but it was her eyes that made the back of Aurora's neck prickle. They were a deep, unnatural purple. "Do you wear colored contacts?"
No, it's a rare genetic trait. Less than 1% of the population.
Alexandria smiled. The smile lasted a half-second too long. Aurora's stomach dropped. That night, Aurora woke up with a heavy weight in her chest. Her legs felt like lead. Her throat was burning. She dragged herself out of bed, intending to get water. As she neared the kitchen, she heard voices. Adam was not in bed. He was in the kitchen, and he wasn't alone.
He didn't last as long as I expected.
She won't last much longer either. The dosage is high enough now. Her hair is falling out in clumps. She thinks she's going insane.
What will we do once she's gone?
We collect the insurance, just like we planned on Tinder. Aurora stopped breathing. She backed into the hallway. Her foot brushed against Adam's jacket on a chair. A burner phone slipped from the pocket and clattered softly to the floor. She picked it up. It was unlocked. She scrolled through the messages. March 4th, March 11th, March 19th. Tinder messages. Texts about thallium, a heavy metal poison. Tasteless, odorless, causes hair loss, severe nerve damage, and intense hallucinations. The coffee. Every morning at 7 a.m. He always watched her take the first sip. She had noticed his strange behavior. She just hadn't known what it meant. The face in the window hadn't been a ghost. It had been Alexandria, checking on their progress. The maggots weren't real. They were her poisoned brain misfiring. Aurora turned to run, but her leg gave out. The nerve damage was advancing. She crashed into a side table. The noise was deafening in the quiet cabin.
Ro, are you awake?
His voice was entirely calm. That was the most terrifying part. Aurora scrambled out the back door, plunging into the freezing, torrential rain. The sky was a swirling mass of black clouds. She didn't have shoes. She ran blindly into the woods. Behind her, she heard heavy footsteps. In her poisoned, hallucinating mind, Adam was no longer human. She looked back and saw a towering, green-scaled monster with claws. But it wasn't a monster. It was just Adam, holding a heavy flashlight and a hunting knife. She ran until her lungs burned. She slipped down a muddy ravine. Her right foot wedged tightly between two heavy rocks. She pulled, but it wouldn't budge. The footsteps were getting closer.
He's gonna kill me. He's gonna make it look like an accident.
She reached into her pocket. She still had the heavy kitchen shears she had grabbed from the counter days ago. The hallucinations surged. She saw the green monster looming over her. She believed the monster's venom was in her leg. She believed she had to cut it off to survive. She didn't want to do it. Her body was shaking. But she swung the shears down. Hours later, a woman named Mrs. Higgins was walking her dog, Rosie. Rosie began barking furiously at the edge of the path. That was when they found the foot. And eventually, they found Aurora in the old church, bleeding, delirious, but alive. What investigators later reconstructed was this. Adam and Alexandria were arrested 3 days later at a coffee shop in Seattle. They were sitting together, looking at real estate listings on a laptop. Adam was convicted of attempted murder, conspiracy, and poisoning. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Alexandria received 15 years for her role. Aurora survived. She was fitted with a prosthetic leg. She moved to a new city, into an apartment with thick walls and heavy locks. She never wrote another horror story. She still walks with a limp. And every morning, before she drinks anything, she checks the cup for the faint, bitter smell of almonds.